Hello, welcome to weekly NGS meeting. NGS stands for Next Generation Shell. Weekly meetings are about recent progress and plans. Um, Here we have Ricardo, contributor. I'm Ilya, author of the project. Let's go. Uh,
Mhm.
okay, so wanna start, Ricardo?
Yeah, so this week, yeah, finally had time to add the ARM64 to our build job, build GitHub action. And
Mhm.
while doing that, I added some more weird architectures, weird
Let's say
64
uncommon.
bits.
Why
Yeah, uncommon.
like
Some more, just to make sure they work. One good thing is that we found out that 32 bits does compile, but not all the tests run because of time functions and so on.
It's not
Um,
particularly time functions. So I looked at that. It's not
mhm.
particularly time functions. It's oh, we have new member here. Uh, yeah, I would assume it's Richard, but let's wait a moment
Mhm.
until the audio connects. That would be nice. Audio doesn't seem to be connecting.
Almost there.
How they say technical issues.
Yeah, no worries.
2022 Zoom doesn't work yet. Okay. Yeah, so maybe we can continue for a moment.
Yeah.
So the problem was not the time functions, but
Mhm.
the amount of bits
Mm,
that NGS
okay,
can use.
that you
Uh,
allocate.
yeah, so NGS uses 2 bits for its own housekeeping. So out of 30 bits on these platforms,
Mhm.
out of 32 bits on these platforms, we'll have just 30.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so let's make sure that I would assume it's Richard. So we are recording this video, so just letting you know it's being recorded. Feel free to talk about anything, but in general, these meetings are about what happened recently in the project and what are the plans for the near future. Okay, so we were discussing with Ricardo because
Mhm.
Ricardo, we're trying to add new architectures to the build and 8 shit with 32-bit, and
Mhm.
that's probably because
You cannot say that
on
on
these
the video.
platforms,
You
I
cannot
can,
say shit on the video.
I can. So on these platforms, only 30 bits are available for the integers because NGS
Yeah.
uses 2 button bits for our own thing.
Mhm.
Um,
So yeah,
yeah,
about that, I
yeah.
opened an issue. Okay, that we should fix it or at least document it on the README.
I
Make it
prefer to document.
evident.
I don't think
Yeah,
mm, there is demand for these 32-bit
that's
platforms,
that's fine, but we
and
should
we
document at
can
least. Yeah.
postpone handling that until there is demand, and then we can break our head on that.
Hmm.
I would like to break my head on problems which are
Hmm.
like more how to say more affecting the users.
Yeah. So just assign to you that issue so that at least you document it on the main
Aha,
README.
so what's support 32 build or add readme known issues?
Hmm.
Well, actually, we can look at this from the other way that our README never mentions any 32-bit
Oh,
platform.
come on,
So
come on. No, we
no,
need to fix it.
yeah, we can list that, but if we can list maybe 100 platforms which are not supported, not only 32 bits, also
No, no,
16, also 8. I don't know. Maybe there are 4 bits
no.
calculators
But we
also.
should
I don't know.
say we should say that currently it's only supported 64 bit. That's it.
Mm, yeah, I think you could probably add this to the README, right?
No, you do
Yeah,
that.
me? Okay.
Hmm.
So okay, good. I'll do that. I don't see the problem, but okay, fine. Yeah, okay. So yeah, anything else from your side, Ricardo?
No,
Ricardo was
that's
updating us about
I think
this.
that's it.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so my main thing that I was doing is the release script because as Ricardo mentioned on previous meetings, it would be very nice to have releases. So before we are making this release, I would like to finish the script, and uh, I want in this meeting to go over like other things and then dive just a bit deeper into the release script and see where we are standing there and what are the technical issues and how that goes. So um, unrelated to release script and anything else, there were several GitHub issues and discussions, and I'd like to share my screen and go over that. I'm hoping not to miss anything. Okay, so let's see what we still have open by now. So Ricardo just opened a 32 bits build. It's not 32 build, it's 32 bits build.
Oh, yeah.
uh, bit,
So that
bit
one is
arcs uh, build. Okay, let's save it as this for a moment. Okay, so what else do we have? Auto verification. Oh, that was big discussion. It's not over yet, but the general idea is to wow, okay, that's pretty big. And to implement auto verification in NGS, I in general agree that it's a desirable feature. Most of the discussion goes like about details and how better to implement that. The current view on that is that it will be without new syntax and without changing any default behavior. And we're kind of trying to figure out the details of the implementation. So Ricardo, we are now advanced users of GitHub because it was the first discussion that I
oh
created.
nice, very good.
Yeah, and it actually it looks from my perspective it looks fine.
Mhm.
So they have like this message, and then you can reply to the message, and yeah, like discussion.
Okay.
It's I think it's much better than to discuss this in an issue.
Mhm.
It looks better. Okay, that was unrelated. So while on the release script, I did some. Oh, hold a sec. Yeah. Okay. Where's my stuff that I think I closed? Ah, there was no issue on that, but I added some stuff. Okay, so let's go over the recently closed ones. So trailing closure syntax, request by user to have like many other languages. They have this thing when you can do my func, yeah, and then provide the closure and code here. And the main problem with this thing is in NGS that's ambiguous syntax because you can have an if, here you can have condition, and then, okay, so my func, that's the yes clause of the if, uh, that's for sure. But now what is this? Does this belong to my func or is it the else part? So, uh, so meanwhile, nothing happened here, and GS does have somewhat similar features. So meanwhile, nothing happened with that. It was a bit of discussion, but let's say if the demand will be high, we'll try to solve that too. I just currently don't see straightforward solution to that. Okay, PCRE callouts. That's feature request, but also we are like waiting for more demand on that. It's like in general, PCRE is a library which NGS already uses. It already exposes some functionality. I don't have any conceptual problem with exposing more functionality of the same library we are already using. It's just a matter of priorities. I see this like kind of a bit lower level, especially when uh, if you can lose quite a bunch of performance, you can implement it in another way. Um, yeah, yeah, I would happily, review a pull request for contribution of this. That will be great. Um, what's else? UPM syntax. Some discussion about syntax. Um, yeah, so that's a fix for wiki. I said Perl grammars is actually Raku grammars, but I guess that at the time that I looked at that, it was Perl 6 grammars, and now Perl 6 is actually called Raku. So, okay, so I fixed that. I just took it from here and pasted into wiki. Requirements. Yeah, another discussion, not particularly interesting. So what did I, okay, hold a second, I need to close my door. Okay. Um, so now what did I do? Okay, so yeah, we can just dive into the script. Unless are there questions about what we were talking up until now? DJE, if you would like to talk, you need to unmute yourself. If not, it's also fine. Not everybody has to talk.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
yeah,
Hi.
Right.
Just one quick remark about this. What I call this trailing closure syntax. I'm okay that this will impact how you do things in NGS. So I'm okay to use this this do things and do and with. I mean, you talk about this. I
yeah.
think this will be just fine actually. By
Okay, yeah.
using
So
this do and do
yeah, so
closure and
let's do this for a moment. So my func do and expression here, and so what's yeah, I'm talking. Look, I think you already know that, but I will be talking about the potential viewers of this video. So what we have here, like unlike other languages, first of all, there is a keyword between the braces and the expression, but what's interesting that you can actually continue and pass several arguments like this. Instead of do, you can use with, which I think was my mistake because I think it's actually is the only place in NGS when you have um, two things like keywords or something like that, which do exactly the same thing. I think it's just wrong on on the level of like when you think like how different people will be using this language and then you know
yeah, but
person
I
yeah
think the with should be used to do some checks before actually telling to do closure. So I think it's okay to keep with and do, but then you should change the actual purpose. The with should be used to check things, to check things, and the
well
do to execute,
I like currently the current implementation is like after parsing into AST, these are like completely identical things. So there is no
Ah,
distinct, not
ah, oh, okay,
yeah. And
okay.
actually, after the parsing part is just so much syntactic sugar that you will not be able to distinguish not only between do and with, but even like between actual parameters that would go here. So it looks like completely uh, identical.
Oh, okay.
So okay, so that's gonna be a problem if you want to change that. Um,
So do and with are the same. Okay, okay, the same.
do, with, and the regular passing of arguments are all completely equal. I can let me share the screen for a moment. I'll share another window and I'll just show the syntax file. Share. Okay, that's the script, but we'll get into this in a moment. Syntax. Yeah, I was actually okay. So with and do, they are like completely after after this place, nobody is able to distinguish, and all of this. By the way, there's also arrow, but it's like it's completely deprecated already. It's when you have like named parameter, but it's like I deprecated that already. So with and do, they are here. They are function call external argument in our syntax, and as you can see, we have other function call arguments here. And oh, what happened? Oh no. Okay. And after we have this external argument is just appended to the same place, and from here on you just can't distinguish any of this stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So now, okay. Is there anything we would like to discuss before I go deep into the release script?
Not for me.
Okay. By the way, if there's like particular topic which is like maybe doesn't fit the weekly, we can do another meeting. We can maybe do like right after the weekly or some other time. So feel free. Everything
Understand.
is up for discussion and it's good to have. Okay, so for now, the script, what is interesting in the script, main functions, that would be the entry point. Okay, assert program. Well, I think it's like one of the areas where kind of, I would say, NGS beats Bash in its own game, because in Bash, this looks so much worse. uh, so this actually checks that we have GitHub program in the path. And if it's not in the path, exception is thrown, and it actually says what happens, that there was this program, it was GH, here is the path that we looked at, and it was not found there. Okay, so
Just one quick question here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because you try to compare, the functionality NGS provides and Bash for the command syntax. My question is, what is the, are you trying to have a kind of compatibility level between NGS command syntax and Bash, or that's
Nope.
totally different?
It's there is no goal to be compatible, and just uses small subset of Bash,
Yeah.
and just actually has two syntaxes. That's expression
Yeah.
and commands.
Yeah.
So in this commands syntax, like here, it's like Bash, very similar. You just goes program name, the arguments, and all the stuff. So what's interesting, we have options part. For example, this command will be logged. So you will see, we can actually run this. It will be in the log.
Yeah, but what I want to know is about this command line expansion. There's a bunch of different type of expansion when you write a bash commands, and also the redirections. I've seen some of the redirections in NGS, but not all bash related things are supported, and this might be an hindrance to some people who want to switch to NGS because they are used to bash, and if they have to lose some flexibility on the command syntax part, they may cause some problem. I mean, that's what I can think of right now.
Yeah, so here's my view on that. Yes, so right now NGS implements small subset of Bash, and I think whatever will be hindering productivity should be fixed. So if people need some
Okay.
particular kind of redirection, it should be added if anybody asks. I mean, because I'm kind of
I understand your
in
point. I understand.
yeah. So I would like to explain just a bit more. In absence of such feedback and demand, I'm kind of making NGS mostly
Reluctant.
for me. So
Yeah.
for my purposes, it works fine. And I will be happy to add some other functionality if anybody asks. Particularly if it's like in the domain. Okay, so work with files must be convenient. Work with processes must be convenient. So this goes like, because it's on kind of on the roadmap.
But theoretically, we could also do this assert program in Bash style if we wanted inside NGS.
Assert,
It's
yeah,
it's just not convenient, right? But we
yeah,
could
yeah,
do
yeah.
the
So
command dash M, right, or something like that.
command dash V, yeah, it looks
Dash V.
bad, and then you need to create your own message of what happened.
Yeah.
Just
But we could do it, right? Also there. We would just
We
run this
could, we
command
could,
dash
but you know,
v. Yeah.
the overall motivation here is, you know, common things going to standard library. So that's what
Mhm.
happens here. Okay. I did like after seeing like hundreds of scripts which like do these checks. Okay, well, maybe
Command
we
V. Yeah.
should move it
Command V
already. Okay.
everywhere.
So here comes a kind of ugly part of the script running the command. So since later we have a bunch of commands which would be running in specific directory and with log option, I factored that thing into this run function. So what is happening? What is happening here? This percent syntax is actually saying, okay, that's the command, just don't run it now. Okay, so you have a reference to the command which is like ready to run, but you can also modify that before running. So what's happening here, run is called with the command to run. Actually, it's commands pipeline because there could be pipes in there. So it gets the whole pipeline. So what it does here, it goes and for every command, here we just have one in each pipeline, but for every command, it adds the log option. And if current directory is set, it also sets the directory in which to execute the command. I think it's pretty ugly, and I'll be thinking how to fix that. So what else is going on here?
You have the warn, the nice warn. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Warn is just something which is message goes into standard error. Nothing particularly interesting. So what are we doing here? When we do release, I expect all the commits to be on the dev branch, and I expect there would be no commits on master branch which are not on the dev branch. Otherwise, we are like in a bad situation. So that's the check which checks the situation with the master branch and sees if there are any commits on the master branch which are not on the dev branch. Okay, it's Git. I found this on the internet how you do that. So basically it says git log. Okay, give me the commits on this branch, but not on this branch. So if there are, and I also marked all the commits from the master branch. I marked them as if they were merged into dev without actually merging them. So this check is now okay. Okay, what's interesting? Temp directory. Okay, so I didn't want to mess with this directory where all the source is. So NGS has now, I recently added this temporary directory object. It creates temporary directory. What's interesting about that is it's actually automatically removed when the script exits. And what's even more interesting, there's like cleanup policy. So you can actually say that if there was an error, keep the directory. So you can, examine what happened with this directory. So what's next? Not very interesting. Checking out master, checking out dev branch. Not very interesting up until here. Okay. So we have a Vim syntax file and it's generated. So what I want to know after generating this file here, I would like to know if it actually changed. Because if it changed, I need to do commit. And if it didn't change, I don't need to do anything with that. So what's interesting here? Git diff with exit code can tell us if the file was changed. And what's interesting here from NGS side is that there's an option which says okay, and that's a list of exit codes on which not to throw an exception. So for commands that NGS doesn't know about, non-zero exit code would be an exception. So about git diff, NGS doesn't know yet, so I needed to list it, not to have an exception. And then converting into Boolean, that's the regular stuff. Zero is true, non-zero is false. So here we already know if we need to do the commit and push. Any questions up until here? Because I've got the feeling that maybe I'm running too fast.
Yeah, a quick one. Why do we have to use this percentage parentheses around the
As
command.
opposed to, let's say, dollar?
No. Yeah. What do we have to wraps? To wrap everything into this.
Yeah, because once you are in, for example, namespace, you switch syntax from comments to expression, and to switch back to commands like bash, you need to do this stuff.
Okay,
Or
this
the
is fine.
stuff.
This is fine, but we have this percent. Yes, this one thing. Why do we have to do this?
Yeah. So here again we have command syntax, and now the question is why it's not dollar but percent or something else.
Oh yeah, yes. For example, yeah. What do you have to do this?
So dollar here would take and execute the command and then pass
the result.
what happened in the. Sorry.
Okay. So the dollar will execute the command before actually calling the run. That okay.
Yeah, and percent only actually creates the command object without running it. We can do here. Okay, you can see it's commands pipeline. Let's do another one which is more elaborate. So we have here, okay, commands pipeline, command 0, as that's a less. Then we have a pipe, and then we have another command.
Understood.
Without, and if you would do dollar, that's, see, it's already process. So it's processes pipeline, not commands, it's processes, because they were running. And let's see what they did. Yeah, so we have redirects here and file descriptor 1 and stuff like that. Okay. Anything else before we continue with the script?
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, so while I'm working on the script, I also seen, how like there are quite a few ugly parts which I will need to fix, but there are also quite a few good parts. So in changelog, we have unreleased at the top. Changelog. Okay, so we have it here because unreleased it comes like instead of the date, which will have another versions. So during the release process, it should be substituted with the date. So how we do that? I added a replace function, which works with file now. So it's in place replace. So it just takes the unreleased and places the date over there. Here is it's just kind of sanity check that after I replace unreleased, I expect to see git diff which says that unreleased was removed, just to make sure it all worked fine. Git commit. Okay, now it comes something more interesting. So you have this git commit which needs to be pushed, but then I want to watch the GitHub action, which was the result of pushing this commit. So what do we have here? Yeah, we got the commit ID from Git. And now it's interesting stuff. Okay, retry built in standard library. And we are waiting until GitHub CLI will tell us that there is a workflow started and the commit ID matches that flow. Yeah, so what is happening here is this. Maybe you already know, it's backtick syntax is run the command and parse the output. So this command returns JSON, and after these two backticks, it's already parsed data structure in memory, so we can work with that. For example, this one checks if any of the elements is matching this pattern, and we are just looking if we have our commit in there. So after it's there, okay, so what happens if it's all like over and the body is still failing? Well, it's an exception. It's retry exception, so nothing continues here. So then we need to wait for build to finish. A very similar thing. What I'm thinking is actually to replace this GitHub command line with something else, because it seems absurd to me that as this guy needs my login to work with the repository, which is public. I think I'll probably just use the REST API they provide. I think I will be able to fetch what I need. Because if you go to the website, you don't need to be logged in to see all these actions and flows and all that. So I assume I can get the same through the API.
And then it's one less dependency, which is also good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty unsettling to me that I need to do GH login and they have like a bunch of permissions, which they say are minimal, but they're not like, don't look like that minimal to me. And on public repository, I would expect, direct access with API. So that's from my side. I'm on the release script and I hope like to do the next release with the script and then to accelerate our releases significantly because it will be so much cheaper to do. Yeah. So
And
that's
then we
from my
can
side.
release, and then we can release more, more often.
Yeah. That's exactly the idea. Any questions before I stop sharing the release script? Okay. So I'll stop. Okay. So I think we're kind of good for this week. So I'll stop recording and you guys can stay for a bit if you want to discuss anything. Before I stop recording, what I need to say, Ricardo, what do we need to say before stopping recording?
Yeah, subscribe, right? Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yes. Okay. You have to say that. Otherwise, you can't be on YouTube.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm stopping. Bye, guys.